Okay, guys, one other thing I want to just talk about with this, with my Chevy Volt. Well, no longer mine, but um, from when I owned it, was engine maintenance. Uh, this has a 1.4 liter non-turbocharged Chevy Cruze engine. And I got to tell you, out of all the miles I've put on this thing, if I can get the hood open, all the miles I've put on this thing, it really, the only thing I've had to replace on this is the air filter every 100,000. I would change the air filter at 327,000. It did need a PCV valve. It would idle really rough, and sometimes it would actually stall out. Didn't know what that was. Thought it was something serious. Turned out it was a $8 PVC, PCV valve. And other than that, every 30 to 35,000 miles, I'd use this. This is what this had at Mobil 1 5W30 synthetic from day one that I purchased it. And I tell you, it doesn't use a drop of oil. I mean, from the whole time, and most of the time this car is running on a generator. So like I said, it's it really I wonder what they did with my headlights. But anyways, it's never used a drop of oil. It's always been very, very, just very engine wise, no troubles at all. Everything else is basically due to that tire accident with sensors and wheel bearings and things like that the dealerships had trouble diagnosing. Because I mean, wheel bearings, that was a really tough deal, because I know every 100,000 miles I replaced the wheel bearings. But after that accident, which hit a semi truck tire at 62 miles an hour when you're not on the brakes, it really shock loaded those wheel bearings, and during the repair, that wasn't repaired. Okay, so I ended up changing all four of those, because the car would get down to basically 4 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour, and it failed to stop. It wouldn't stop. I had to put both feet on the brakes. But I tell you, other than little things, the car, I think the whole time I've ever had it, has only physically let me down twice, where it was unable to get me home out of the whole 7 years I've had it. So like I said, just another shout out to good GM engineering with this engine part of it. And actually, the whole car is engineered great. Like I said, if I wouldn't have had an accident, this thing would have got past 500,000. No, no questions asked. I know it would have, because I wasn't getting any battery issues or anything until I had this, this accident. And like I said, this Mobil 1 synthetic, I use it in everything I own, from my lawnmower. I had a Buell motorcycle, and every single motorized equipment, generator, the house generator, everything has Mobil 1 in it. And like I said, I have to swear by that, because this thing doesn't use a drop of oil, not a drop. So I mean, it's never been low. But honestly, with this Mobil 1 synthetic, none of my GM vehicles have ever been low on oil. So just want to give you guys a little heads up on that. And I would get it changed, like I said, every 35,000. And the normal life of this car, what it done on a daily basis when I worked in Lordstown, is basically would take my daughter to school in the morning, which is basically 12 to 15 miles in town. I would go over to our local church. I do community service there usually on a daily basis, which there is a charging station there. So when the vehicle was able to charge, I would charge that vehicle. I charged old Sparky there for a couple hours. Go check on my parents, run some other errands around. Basically, I get back home, it would have about 55 electric miles that I've driven on it, because I was able to charge that church. So when I would come home about maybe an hour or 2 hours before I go to work, charge the car while it's doing that. So when I get back on the road to make that 115-mile trip, it would still have maybe almost 30 miles left on the battery. So I would take it, drive it up to Lordstown, averaging 112 miles a gallon on the way up there, get to work, charge it. On the way back home, average about probably 80 to 90 miles a gallon, because now it's the counter had started over as far as the charging counter went back to 40 EV miles, and it was only on a single charge on the way up there. But I tell you, it did that day in, day out religiously. Snow, blizzards. I can't tell you what this car has been through and how many near misses I've had with this thing. It's got the best stability control system I have ever seen in a vehicle, because you can almost get put in a snowbank and that thing will respond as far as the stability control system before you even know anything's happening. It could grab those back brakes, hold them to where it needs to do, and keep that car in the straight trajectory that you're trying to keep it on, as long as you have those winter tires, which I only use Bridgestone Blizzaks, and that's why I have all these tires sitting here, because every one of our vehicles has a set of Bridgestone Blizzaks for the winter and an all-season tire for the summer. But I tell you, this thing, I can't speak highly enough about what this car has been through, because I truly never babied it. Never babied this car. Drove it like I stole it every day of its life. And it just held up, I mean, it's probably only been washed 10 times since I've owned it. But, so like I said, I don't baby it because my life was very, very hectic at that time. Having to travel that far and maintain a family life and help my parents and things like that. It's been a real tough time. But boy, this machine has just been tried and true through the whole thing. So, just want to have another shout out to that, and gonna miss this thing. All right. Bye-bye.